The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Great crowds were traveling with Jesus, and he turned and addressed them. If anyone comes to me without hating his father and mother, wife and children, brothers and sisters, and even his own life, he cannot be my disciple. Whoever does not carry his own cross and come after me cannot be my disciple. Which of you, wishing to construct a tower, does not first sit down and calculate the cost to see if there is enough for its completion? Otherwise, after laying the foundation and finding himself unable to finish the work, the onlookers should laugh at him and say, "This one began to build, but did not have the resources to finish." Or, what king marching into battle would not first sit down and decide whether with 10,000 troops he can successfully oppose another king advancing upon him with 20,000 troops? But if not, while he is still far away, he will send a delegation to ask for peace terms. In the same way, any one of you who does not renounce all his possessions cannot be my disciple. The Gospel of the Lord. One of the topics in world events that catches my eye and heart is the topic of refugee migrants, people who have left behind everything to flee from some evil and seek something better. If you watch the news in recent years, or even in recent days, you can see refugee crises playing out with our brothers and sisters fleeing Ethiopia, South Sudan, and other places in Africa, Venezuela and other places in Central America, Afghanistan, Syria, and the list goes on and on. The United Nations Refugee Agency recently said that the number of people forced to flee their homes as refugees has doubled in the last decade, whether due to war or violence, persecution, natural disaster, or human rights abuses. Imagine having a home in an area of wildfires in California and being told that you had hours or even minutes to flee your home, not knowing if you would ever be able to return to it. Or imagine an earthquake striking here along the New Madrid Fault, or even the mighty Mississippi flowing right back over our city, causing us to abandon all of this forever. In today's gospel from Luke, we hear the conclusion of the last few weeks of this sequence on the costs of discipleship. We hear that there's still a great crowd following Jesus, and he continues to explain the costs. And he shares a few images today. First, someone building a tower and calculating the cost to build it. Or second, the king marching into battle, trying to determine if he can overtake the enemy. In these two images, Jesus is reminding his followers that his disciples will face persecution. Discipleship means carrying one's cross in following Jesus. The other image that he uses is of hating your father, mother, wife, children, brothers, sisters, even your own life. It's important to note that in the wording of the time, loving or hating another wasn't an expression of actually loving or hating them like we think of it today, but an expression of giving preference to one over the other. So he's calling the great crowd to give preference to him, to put God first before any of these other things in life. Remember, as the first reading reminds us, the things of the earth are fleeting and passing, and the things of heaven are those which abide and give peace and joy. From wisdom we heard, the deliberation of mortals are timid, and unsure are our plans. For the corruptible body burdens the soul, and the earthen shelter weighs down the mind that has many concerns. This gospel doesn't make as much sense without the context, the belief that there is something great and worthwhile in the kingdom that Jesus is inviting us to. In a certain and very real sense, we are all migrants, all refugees of the things of the earth. We're called to leave the brokenness of here for something perfect in the kingdom. So in this gospel, we find Jesus' command to give up all of our possessions, which is matched by his teaching elsewhere in this Gospel of Luke that the only truly useful thing to do with the things that we have is to give them as alms to those who are more in need. The end of this gospel today, we hear Jesus say, "Any one of you who does not renounce all of his possessions cannot be my disciple," which made me want to clearly understand what the word renounce actually means. Renounce in the dictionary means to formally declare one's abandonment of a claim or a right or a possession, or to reject and stop using something. This reminded me, honestly, of the experience through Exodus 90 to truly renounce a lot of the things of this world for 90 days, to truly clear my heart and my mind and my time, and to give me a true sense of freedom. Through that, I was able to gain, and I know that my brothers in our fraternity gained, a better sense of how much we can truly become addicted to the things of this world, how easy it can become, without even realizing it, to prefer things of the world over Jesus and the kingdom to which he invites us, to be stuck, addicted, tied down, not realizing that we can't as easily just let them go. This is also reflected in the second reading today, where Paul, writing to Philemon, exhorts him to give up his slave, to give him freedom. In a clear and early call in church teaching, we see both a clarity that we have long held that slavery is wrong, but also a call to be able to give up something that we believe is ours. Because the reality is, nothing is ours. Everything is a gift from God, entrusted to us to care for. Our parish bulletin header reminds us that we are disciples and stewards. This comes from the declarations of the Fourth Diocesan Synod in 2017 and our parish mission statement, which grew out of it. The 10th declaration from the Synod reads, "As a diocese committed to discipleship and stewardship, the community of Catholic faithful recognizes that everything we have comes from God, and that he has given us gifts not just to use them for ourselves, but to share them with others." Or, as Bishop Paprocki writes in his column this week in Catholic Times, this declaration makes clear the connection between discipleship and stewardship. A disciple of Jesus is someone who follows Jesus in order to learn from him and live accordingly. A steward is a person whose responsibility it is to take care of something. As disciples, we're called to learn from Jesus and live accordingly, including prioritizing and using things in the proper way in our lives. As stewards, we're called to take care of things for God, for his church, for the kingdom, and for each other. Some of the domains in which this can play out in our lives are in our finances, in how we share our talents, and in what we do with our time. Let me propose a few thoughts and ideas. In the financial realm, do we have control over how we spend our money? Do we waste money on useless or passing things? Do we prioritize giving, tithing to support the church, alms for the poor? Can we truly say that we are free with our money? In the realm of talents, are there gifts that we hold back in our families, at work, in our classrooms? If I can sing, do I join the choir or do I hold back my voice? If I'm handy and able-bodied, do I offer to help the elderly person next door with some upkeep on their house? Or do I join the maintenance team that helps to maintain our church and school? If I'm hospitable, do I offer to host a Harmony Cafe to meet and to serve fellow parishioners? In the realm of time, do I invest time to learn more about God and my faith? Do I try to make it to a small group or a class like the Rescue Project starting soon? Do I make sure that my kids or my grandkids are signed up to learn more about our faith at PSR on our family faith nights? Do I come with them and enjoy an adult class at the same time? Do I have just 30 more minutes a week that I could give Jesus to spend time with him in adoration? And do I realize what he'll give back to me in that time? Do I just prioritize starting every day with 15 or 20 minutes of quiet conversation with God? Do I make an effort to share a meal with a friend or a neighbor? There are many, many ways to prioritize the things that matter more. I would ask that we just each find one thing. Find one more thing this next week. One of the most beautiful things that happens to me as a parent is when one of my young boys comes to me with something that is special to them and says, "Dad, I love you. I love this, but I want you to have it." That's the spirit that we, as sons and daughters of our Heavenly Father, can have with our things, our talents, our treasure, our time. "Father, I love you. I love this, but I want you to have it." This is how we exercise the ability to walk away, the call to be disciples and stewards, to follow Jesus' call to renounce the things of the earth in favor of the things of the kingdom, to be the refugees that we truly are in this world, to set the things of the world aside and prefer the things of the kingdom to come. St. Aloysius Gonzaga said, "Of what use are riches in eternity?" Could you walk away from your home and everything in it? If not, what's holding you back?